Hey everybody, welcome to What Drives Us, episode 169 for January 13th, 2016. I even got the year right. My name is Russell Frost. I am one half of the hosting team here, and I'm very glad this week to have the other half of the hosting team, Mr. Danny Cooper.
Hello, amigos, friends, compatriots. Good to see you. I've got a big week of stuff to talk about with Detroit and all the CES crap we didn't get to touch on last week. So I'm excited.
And I can't stop presenting for some reason. It won't take the camera off me. I'm having nothing. There we go. Thank you. Because nobody wants to spend the whole show looking at me.
True that.
Oh, thanks, Tony.
Really no response.
Anyway.
I'm saying what everyone's thinking.
So I'm here, Danny's here. Let's introduce the rest of the cast and get going. The owner of Boulder Hybrid Conversions, our man at the Continental Divide, Mr. Paul Guzik.
Hey everybody, I'm actually on the east side of the Continental Divide, but I'm here in Boulder, Colorado.
Fine, okay, so I didn't accurately pinpoint.
Yes.
It's going to be one of those nights, isn't it? It is. That's okay. Here's a man whose location I'm not really that sure of. I know he's in Canada, and I know his name is Mark Coughlan. Welcome, Mr. Coughlan.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Great White North. That's still white, so we're happy to have the snow. Not really, but it's here anyway, so we may as well embrace it.
Exactly. I think we should. Good question. Well, let's go on. Last and not least, our oldest panelist, and I don't mean that in age. I mean he's been on the show longer than anybody else, Mr. Tony Schaefer.
Well, I thought you were referring to like intellectual maturity, but whatever. I'll take it.
I don't know about that so much.
Right. I do want to give a shout out, of course, to Only Child Brewing, who I am enjoying. The ooh, can you see her? See? I bought it only because there's a hot chick vacuuming.
With a Dyson handheld?
I know. See, that's the cool part. They could have gone vintage
right.
with this, but instead they gave her like a Dyson.
That's definitely a Jessica Rabbit.
Yeah, it really is. Right? But it's a
Jessica Rabbit with the Dyson. You have
There's
some
nothing wrong with that, by the way.
Yeah, it's a Belgian golden ale, and it is delicious.
Cool.
Well, yeah, that's awesome. So that's our show. Thanks very much for tuning in. I got nothing else to say. No. So we have a little bit different format. We don't have a wide range of news. In fact, we're going to talk about everything, but in one narrow area. We're going to talk about the NAIAS. That is the North American International Auto Show, commonly known as the Detroit Auto Show, the big one. On this continent, I think it's safe to say that Detroit is the big auto show. That's the one that maybe along with CES now, where we see a lot of the U.S. debuts, we see a lot of the money, we see a lot of things first there. And our own Mr. Mark Coughlan was kind enough to take a day out of his busy schedule and attend. And so we're going to spend the first part of the show talking to Mark about what he saw, and then we'll kind of go on to some general Detroit stuff. So Mark, how do you want to just kind of give us an overview of what you did?
Yeah, I had quite a plan laid out based on what I had seen available to be walked through. And unfortunately, the plan kind of got thrown out of the window almost immediately based on how far or how much distance there were between exhibits and different areas within the show. I had also planned for the end of the day that I was going to go out and visit some of the full-size scale ice sculptures of cars. There's 9 of them that were
Oh, wow.
done in Detroit, and they're
Did
just
they have
around
the
city.
Did they have the Chevy Olt there
They
in
did.
ice?
No, they did not.
Did you say the Olt?
Yes.
But surprisingly, for that time of year, not really, but it was freezing. It was a minus 14 degree Celsius day. Tony, you can work on the conversion for Fahrenheit.
Whoa. Oh, okay. Minus 14.
Minus 14 Celsius, and it was absolutely freezing. The wind was coming off of the lake, and I said, I am not wandering around this city looking for ice sculptures because I will probably become one before I get to find one. So I stayed inside for the whole time, and it was an early start. There was a 7:30 start for Chrysler, and then it moved to an 8 a.m. start for Chevy, and then later in the morning, Ford had a presentation. So those were the 3 keynotes that I attended. And then in between, I dropped by some booths that were in between and took some photos and got a little video and had an interesting time. There's apparently 5,000 registered media personalities at the show, or registered to go to the show, and it was quite an experience.
So I was real quickly able to find one of these sculpted cars, which apparently the picture was taken at night, and they put a violet sort of
that's cool.
light against it, and yeah, it does look really sharp. This is just one of them, and you know, I could try to find more, but I don't want to slow you down. So I just thought
65 Mustang.
Yeah, there was a Mustang.
Oh my gosh, it does say Mustang on the side, but I can't quite see the taillight to gauge what year it is. Yeah, sorry.
We need
It looks a little
angle.
squished as well.
Right,
Well,
right.
I'm sure with this weather, they're going to be there for months.
But I do think it is a 1960s Mustang because it's on pallets.
That's really a Mustang?
It is.
Yep.
And if I zoom in, I don't know if you can kind of see that it
It
actually
looks like one of those bad Mustang 2s from the 70s.
That was a Pinto.
Mhm.
It was a Pinto.
Converted Pinto.
It was a Pinto with a Mustang badge on it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I'm sorry. So yeah, the ice sculptures. Yay!
So, Mark, do you mind if I just start kind of quizzing you about what you saw?
Certainly, go ahead.
So I've been talking about this on Twitter this week, that I think one of the most important reveals, at least from a like alt fuel perspective, was actually the Chrysler Pacifica. We have heard Prius chat people for a decade now asking for a hybrid minivan.
Boo, minivans.
And so far, the best thing we've gotten has been the Prius V, and now we've got like RAV4 hybrid. We've had the Escape in the past, but that wasn't perfect. But anyway, I think that this Chrysler Pacifica, they're just calling it Pacifica Hybrid, even though it's actually a plug-in.
Yeah.
30 miles of range on a 16.6 kilowatt battery, I think.
Correct.
It's got a 6.6 kilowatt onboard charger.
Yep.
With, I don't know that it had quick charge capability or not.
No, there was no quick charge.
Okay.
But the battery's small enough, so you can run it on L2 not too badly.
And it's good looking. So I kind of wanted to get your thoughts on it. Did you get to crawl through it?
You used
take a look at it?
minivan and good looking in the same sentence?
I'm at a point in my life where there is such a thing as a attractive minivan.
You're such a dad sometimes.
I am.
I love that.
So,
There was some
so-
speculation that van was slightly lowered to make it look a little bit nicer.
just
Like for the show?
That's
Yeah.
some
It's not
speculation
the
I
production.
was reading after the show that some people were saying it looked a little low for a minivan. So there was some speculation as to what was going on.
So to try to get a gauge on where Danny is in his life, Lexus revealed the LC500, which is a V8 467 horsepower, 10-speed automatic sports coupe, and he's interested in the minivan hybrid.
Come on, it is interesting that they put out a minivan. Chrysler's first kick at the electrification can is a minivan. That's,
Right. I was just going to say the company that makes nothing but Dodge, Ram, and Jeep. I mean.
But it's good because I mean there is a market for.
Hell yes, there is.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
With $1.79 gallon gas.
Yeah.
Right, and to Danny's point, people have been yearning for a hybrid minivan for literally years. We've heard it on Prius Chat for years and years and years.
So I
And a
did get to
plug-in
get
is
it.
cool.
Sorry, Paul, go ahead.
I was just say the plug-in part is cool because soccer mom can go 5 miles to the soccer practice and come back and plug in.
And even sit in front of the school and not idle.
Right.
Well, I think the sheer size of the battery that they ended up putting into this thing is really impressive. For a car that they don't, I mean, let's be honest, they're not even really so far marketing it as a plug-in. It's a hybrid. And
Right.
so for a car that they're not even marketing as that, it's got, almost the same size battery as what's in the BMW i3. This is like a full size. If this was on a smaller car like a Leaf, it would be an 80 or 90 mile range car.
Right.
And
this is enough to
when we
get
have
that.
heard plug-in,
This is enough to get that credit, right? This is enough
yeah,
the full
it is
federal
just
credit,
enough to get the full federal credit.
Yeah.
which is probably
sure.
a lot of the thought behind it.
Yeah. I'm
And
sure
what about HOV access in California? Would it qualify?
No,
I doubt it. Yeah.
because it has a gas
Well-
engine.
As long as you have the soccer mom and her kids in the car, it would.
That's true.
Yeah.
Does it seem more than one?
Not qualify.
Don't even need a sticker for that one.
Right.
But it was interesting. I did get up on stage to see the vehicle after the presentation. And to that point, no one had touched the charge port. So I was curious to see if it even worked. So sure enough, I popped it open and there was a plug. And actually, I got a couple photos to prove it. Let me see if I can share one here. And it was interesting to see that it was a push-in type door that you pushed in, and the plug popped out at that point. And there it is. Should be
But it was
somewhere now.
Look at
But it
that.
was a real car, right? No styrofoam like
No,
the
it
Faraday.
was an absolutely real car. It was solid. We saw it drive. So yeah, it's real.
Wow.
Eat your heart out, Faraday.
Yeah. Boy, so much for your silly ass race car.
Yeah.
We got a minivan that kicks your race car's ass.
And I got a shot of the motor that was in the vehicle, and it's apparently the same motor that's with the regular car. No
Yeah,
difference.
they've tuned it down compared to the ICE version.
Nice. Danny's really done his homework on this,
I've
man.
done a lot of reading, actually.
Yeah.
Sebastian Blanco from Autoblog Green and I have been tweeting back and forth about it.
I'm sorry, who?
Sebastian Blanco?
Oh, Sebastian, okay.
Yeah. So that's
Does he have-
interesting. If
Does
it's,
he have small children as well?
He does not, but
Yeah.
he is a big enough nerd to understand.
mhm.
But he
So
tolerates nerds with children.
Yes.
Other than the hybrid and plug-in components, is it essentially the same vehicle as the conventional minivan?
Yes, it's supposed to be the same. The only difference that I understood in a major way would be the stow and go seats in the middle row. Do not stow and go in this vehicle because that
Okay.
is where they house the batteries.
Battery.
Well, that makes sense. And where I'm going with the questioning is, you can pretty much gauge the realistic possibility of this car becoming a mass production vehicle by how many parts it borrows from the existing line, which means it could be built in the same factory and potentially right next to the conventional minivans.
Apparently it is, and that's being built in Windsor, Ontario.
So
And is it just front wheel drive or all wheel drive?
That I do not know.
Front wheel drive.
yeah.
They did not put it on all-wheel drive.
But
Actually, and they
do
don't
an
have an
all-wheel
all-wheel drive.
gas.
They do not have an all-wheel drive Pacifica. Which the Pacifica, for everybody listening who hasn't been paying attention, the nameplate is taking over the Chrysler Town and Country nameplate.
Oh, I did not
okay.
know that. Okay.
Yeah.
So they're not going to call it a Caravan?
It will not be a Caravan, which is what we had. We had the 85 Caravan, and then the 92
Such a
Caravan.
fine automobile.
It was fantastic. Hey, my brother opened the door one time, the sliding door, and the sliding
fell
door just
off.
kept going.
Oh my gosh.
I had a VW bus that did that. So
Yeah. Well, what
But
are
it's
you
really,
gonna do?
it's really interesting to people of my spot in life. My
I think it's a big step
Yeah.
for Chrysler. It's
Yeah.
it's a vehicle that is not available in other segments, and it's
Right.
it's larger. And I know myself, others have been asking for a larger vehicle that's a plug-in. So I think it's a great step. Now, whether or not it'll take off, who knows?
I think
But,
it might. I honestly think that a plug-in hybrid minivan. Unfortunately, we have the current gas prices here in the United States that are below $2, and some people are saying it'll go closer to $1 a gallon throughout 2016. So that could be, man, that could be its own
be, but
competition.
if you're getting a $7,500 federal credit, that might go a long way.
Well, and
around
let
the
me
price.
tell you why that's actually could end up being a good thing for the common buyer. The BMW i3 I was telling everybody about last week, it's got a $53,000 MSRP. There's no way I would go and buy a $53,000 car for myself to piddle around in when it's not our main car.
Right.
It just wouldn't have happened. And so the fact that I ended up getting like over $18,000, I think, off the sticker price of that car. So the lease became, equitable because of the residual value, became, equitable with a lot of other budget cars out there. And so I think that if it doesn't sell well like the first year, and Chrysler feels some pressure to start, getting them out because they're tired of buying credits from Tesla and others, they will start to kick in a lot of incentives, which might mean that car might sell more than the gas version, at least, be a little bit more, on the same range with it. And who knows, maybe they did the full-size battery because $7,500 is the only price difference between the ICE and the plug-in. That'd be really nice.
Oh,
But at any rate, if at the end of 2017 the lease is like, a $350 lease, that would be a huge thing for like the common buyer out there who's not just a bleeding edge tech, got to buy the first generation.
Right. Yeah.
Agree.
I mean, and I think Danny makes a really good point about price. Price is obviously going to be an issue for a family car, and for what's probably going to be a fairly expensive family car. But Chrysler has a lot of internal incentive to sell this car because they've been buying a buttload of carbon offsets, primarily from Tesla. And if this vehicle helps them reduce that, obviously that's sort of like a double incentive. I mean, they can afford to give a little more away, dare I suggest.
And remember, Fiat has been pretty aggressive with the Fiat 500 e-lease.
Right.
Getting it out there. It's always been one of the more aggressively priced leases.
Right.
I wonder if that's why if that is because they are searching for those Z credits. Like I wonder if it's priced that way because that was the only thing they had to offer at the time.
Right.
Yeah, and it's not like I didn't feel bad taking BMW for $18,000 off that car, and I'm not going to feel bad for taking
Would anyone?
X dollars off of Chrysler if they have to discount these pretty heavily. That's just let them eat that early cost.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So and they also Chrysler also put out a media kit. I don't know if you can see this. But,
Holy crap!
wow, lots of goodies.
You got a board game. You've got the the pamphlets available.
Look at
You
you.
got a little USB stick that's shaped like a Pacifica. So
Oh my gosh!
And of course, you got 5 of these for all of us. Right?
And those are the
playing cards?
game board items to play
And a die?
the game that came with it.
Yeah.
In a nice little Chrysler labeled packet.
Do you want to give everybody your eBay name now? No, I hate that, but you see so much of that stuff after these shows. Some idiot goes in there and grabs all the press kits they can, and all of a sudden there's branded USB sticks for $7,000.
Yeah.
Please burn in hell, sir. Please.
I've got. Let's see.
No, no.
Wait. Here's my.
What you've got is a boomy mic.
Yeah.
I've got a
Mazda one.
a Mazda fob.
Is
But
that
it's actually
Chicago?
the USB stick.
Ah.
Look
Fancy.
at that.
And somewhere I have a spark plug that is actually a USB stick.
Ooh, I like that.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
So the final thing I wanted to comment about the Pacifica before we have Mark move on to his next presentation. I asked about Sebastian to follow up with Chrysler, and he found out that it's not initially a nationwide rollout. So whether that means like the first model year, it's going to be just card states, or if it's like California only, like they've kind of dicked around with the Fiat 500e being only West Coast.
Mm-hmm.
But I hope that this becomes They said that they had plans for nationwide rollout. But that's what Toyota said with the plug-in Prius too.
Yeah, but I hope it's just a ramp-up thing, that in the first year they're just ramping up production. In the second year they expect to have production going at a fast enough clip in order to do a 50-state rollout. I really hope that it's not just more or less a compliance car is what I'm thinking. And if they don't go nationwide, then they're going to get that compliance car stamp, and that's it.
Part of me thinks it's not a compliance car because they're coming out with it like as the design of this generation of Town and Country, whatever the Chrysler van. They built this as a platform to be a plug-in car. So that to me, if it feels like a mid-cycle refresh, and they kind of shoved a bunch of batteries where the stow and go stuff goes, and that was it, then I would say, okay, this is probably a compliance car. But hopefully it's not. Hopefully it'll reach nationwide rollout.
Yeah.
And maybe like, I forget if it was Tony who said it, but if the differential between that car and the ICE car is only 7,500, then it's a no-brainer. Like, they'll sell a ton of them.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah, and as we've often said, we don't wish any ill will toward any advanced tech, anything in that direction. I mean, I would love to see hybrid minivans just taking off. I would love to see them. I'd love to see this minivan flying off the dealer lots to inspire every other manufacturer to get off their ass and actually make some high mileage minivans that people can actually buy.
Yeah, absolutely.
And SUVs. I mean, we still don't have the Mitsubishi Outlander plug-in in America.
And we never will. Oh, I'm sorry. Did I say that out
Well,
loud?
it's coming next year.
Yeah, again.
You're right. Again.
Again and again.
So it was interesting to see that. One of the other things that was mentioned is someone did talk to a representative about the Pacifica as to why the electric model comes out so much later than the regular gasoline model, and they had just indicated complexity and getting it right on the assembly line and working with it. So that was the explanation that was given quickly.
Oh.
So next I was off to the Chevy booth. And they had a presentation that was about 25 minutes or so, and they showed basically two cars, and it was the Cruze hatchback was out first, new hatch for the Cruze, and then on to the Bolt with a B.
Yay, Bolt!
Not the Jolt, not the Colt, but the Bolt.
Cool.
And it was, similar to the CES type walkthrough of the car. They got a little bit into the battery where they didn't at CES. But basically, it's been found that the car is going to have a 60 kilowatt battery in it. And it's a different configuration. I was able to see a couple of cutouts that were of the car, of the battery. And I'll share one with you now.
Oh.
There it is.
Yeah, yes.
And you can see there are little, you can't see my mouse, can you?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you can.
There are cross beams, steel cross beams up the top that run through the battery. And I was told that this is the front of the battery at the front of the car. And then this back here is at the back, which would go underneath the back seat. So it's still a flat floor for everyone to get in and out. There is this extra hump, I guess, to store extra components as well as battery space. And they figure under the back seat is a good place for it. And there was some indication that the steel beams and the battery itself add to the strength of the car, making it, I guess, less movable for the unit as a whole. And it also, some of the new technology in the battery, showing it here, you can see the battery cells through the window.
Oh, okay.
And it is cooled by the same cooling fluid that's used in the Volt with a V. Like this isn't going to get old fast.
Right. Yeah.
And but the difference is that it's a cooling plate, unlike the Volt, where the fluid runs through and around the cells. Apparently, these cells in the Volt are sitting on a cooling plate, and the fluid flows around the cooling plate, making it a more efficient cool than the Volt system. Really?
That's interesting. Okay.
So that was kind of interesting to see. Another thing, you can see this orange thing back here. That is the battery kill switch that a customer would never, of course, require to use, but this is for service where the technicians could take the seat apart and pull this module outside of the unit, and that apparently renders the battery completely useless. And in a situation where they need to do that, it's a quick fix for them, I guess.
So one of the big concerns here in the United States was emergency medical teams, the EMTs who come up on the side of an accident that involves a car with a battery. And one of the big things was, how do we make sure the battery's not live? And that sounds like that they addressed it right there.
I don't know if would a different emergency teams be trained in all different aspects of where to find the kill switch in these different cars?
Well, but the problem is nowadays.
They actually have an iPhone app or tablet app that tells. But there's been no instance of an EMT ever being hurt from an electric car, a properly manufactured electric car. There are a zillion safeguards that if the car gets hit, it turns off the battery within the battery. So.
Okay, so Paul is speaking the voice of logic, and I am speaking the voice of panic, which is all these people are running around, and their main motto is, I don't want to be the first.
Right.
Well, then they'll buy 3 or 5 years from now after everybody else has the EV.
Yep. Well, it's...
we saw the same thing with hybrids.
That if the fireman cut into the car, he'd electrocute himself, and then he'd leave you to die. You know.
Right.
It's never happened.
Right.
But, I mean, I'm just saying. I mean, this was one of the big things when hybrids first came out was, training for the EMTs that they don't electrocute themselves. Where is the kill switch? How do I just make sure that the battery is physically switched off? And if this comes with a kill switch that's in bright orange and accessible, it looks like, from the back hatch, then awesome.
Yeah. Hey, I want to add something here. Mark was kind enough to do a video interview with someone, and Mark, forgive me, I don't remember who it was, but someone at Chevy, and we'll be posting that at whatdrives.us probably tomorrow. If you want to see a couple of minutes of them going over the Bolt battery pack and talking about the Bolt. It's a really great little video, so you can find that tomorrow. That's Thursday, January 14, at whatdrives.us. And thank you, Mark, for doing that.
No problem. I've also got a cutout of the battery. Or I'm sorry, of the engine, the motor,
okay.
the electric motor.
Did they get mad when you did that?
Yeah, they were kind of upset when I started to rip it apart, but
Just
I
keep
got out
going.
alive, so it was okay.
You're like, screw you, I'm Canadian.
Yeah. Oh no.
So I didn't get a whole lot of an explanation on this like I did on the battery, but I just thought I'd take a snapshot of this cutout just so you could see the gears as it wraps around the motor here.
Not a whole lot of stuff in there. That's cool.
Yeah.
Not a lot of brake, right?
That's a big electric motor, though.
Well,
I mean, it's hard.
But it's got the motor, the reduction gear. It's got a differential in there, I'm sure.
Right.
In the front of the car or the rear of the car?
It is front wheel drive.
Okay.
Yeah. That car's, one of the nice things, and I got a little bit of this because I saw the video that Mark did, and obviously if you're a listener of the show or if you read up on these vehicles, I mean, one nice thing about this battery pack is it is going to add to the rigidity of the car, which is going to increase performance. It's going to put all the weight down low to the car, which will help it perform better. I mean, just by virtue of what it is, it's going to have some handling that other vehicles,
like a Tesla.
Exactly. I mean, that's where I'm going. I mean, having driven like the RAV4 EV was a blast to drive because it was not like an SUV.
Yeah. Right.
Oh, look at that! Reserved for Volt
at
owners.
the conference, they were reserving seats for Volt owners, and I found after the presentation that a number of Volt owners in the area were invited to come to the presentation, and they had special seating up at the front.
Yeah, didn't they then have a special luncheon or something?
That I did not hear, but it wouldn't surprise me because I attended one in Toronto last year, and it was kind of the same type thing.
Well, I was frankly a little bit upset that they did not have you there.
That's what I was thinking. I wanted to show someone my key and say, "Hey, I'm part of this club."
Yeah.
But no, didn't work. Didn't work at all.
So is it true that GM had a special luncheon for Prius owners and no one came out alive?
And they served them a special poison lunch.
Or maybe I just made that up. I'm not sure.
That would be a smart thing to do for GM because a lot of Volt owners are former Prius owners.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
And then here's a shot
and not
of.
poison them.
And since but seriously, I mean,
you don't want to kill your customers.
Here's a handful of gummy bears.
Paul brings up a really good point because guess what Toyota doesn't have? A plug-in hybrid.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
That's any good.
Ooh,
Well, technically they don't have any at all right now.
Technically, they have nothing on the market right now.
And just a shot of Pam Fletcher, who was giving part of the media scrum that was going on. There was tons of reporters and cameras and TV lights flashing all over the place.
She's the Volt engineer?
Yeah, for the Bolt.
For the Bolt, excuse me, the Bolt engineer.
So it was interesting to hear her talk. I was just off camera, obviously, listening to what she was saying about the car and its abilities. So, but watch that video tomorrow when you can, and it will give you a lot of information about the battery itself. So it's a good walkthrough that I got from Greg from Chevrolet.
Awesome.
Cool.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mark.
There was one other. Before we move off of
I'm sorry, Tony. Or Danny.
I did want to touch on one thing real quick. GM, even though the Bolt is going to be the SAE combo fast charging, GM is not going to be helping to fund any fast charging sites across the country, which is something that BMW actually has put together money to fund a lot of quick charging sites across the country because the i3 has the SAE combo quick charging on it. And I think there was one other company that was also helping with that. But anyway, GM came out and said, no, we have no interest in it. And I wanted to tweet this to John Folkler, but I just didn't feel like getting into it with him. But there's this. They did this article about how GM wouldn't be funding any fast charging sites for the Bolt, and they really let them off on it pretty softly. And then I read at the bottom of their article, Chevrolet provided airfare, lodging, and meals to enable High Gear Media to bring you this first-person report.
I did speak to Greg, who did the video for me about the fast charging, and he had indicated the same thing. They're not funding at this time. He said the discussion certainly has happened, and they have gone through a number of different scenarios, but there's nothing to be announced at the show. That was the final answer I got.
Okay, so, but is that a bad thing? I mean, does GM have a responsibility to fund fast charging locations for their vehicles, or is the standard, quote unquote, that Tesla has set? Is that just something that Tesla's going to do?
I think it's not something that they need to do necessarily, but it's certainly a nice to. And to compete with Tesla, I think it's almost required.
I think that if any of our listeners are looking for a way to make some money, and I'm seriously not kidding here. I mean, the hard part about being the class clown is when convincing people to take me seriously. But if anyone is actually looking to make money, you need to open electric fueling stations with multiple fast charging ports that'll support Chatamo and Tesla and whatever, and then charge whatever is appropriate, just like gas stations, and put your stations where they need to be, and just basically build the gas station model on electric, and you'll make a killing.
It's too bad you couldn't get like Exxon or Shell or someone like that to put these in their traditional gas stations,
exactly,
and charge for it, and support all standards, because that's the other stupid thing is Tesla can only charge a Tesla, and Chatamo is Chatamo, and SE. Someone's got to come up with a box that charges every kind of car fast.
See, that's what I'm saying. Someone needs to create these electric fueling stations, and then cut me in on the royalties.
No, yeah.
That was your idea,
right?
Because no one else thought of it.
Here's why that's not going to happen, Tony. Because you know what's going to happen? I'll tell you what's going to happen. Somebody, and I'm going to use one example. I'm not hoping for them. I don't think they're the most likely, but I'm going to use it as a really good example. Somebody like McDonald's, who has a buttload of locations easily accessible from every highway in the country. Okay? Someone whose business model, let's say, is declining, whose sales are down, and who needs some kind of draw. And it's not going to be a big draw right now, but in a few years it could be a huge draw. Someone like that. I'm sorry?
Fried mozzarella sticks.
Whatever. Somebody like that is going to put, like you said, a host of combo chargers in near their location. Yeah. Because they've already got the property for it, they've got the parking for it, and then they're going to find a way to tie it to business.
Right now, now let me plus up your idea, because let's face it.
Noble. Oh, sorry.
Yes, because let's face it, businesses don't own the vending machines. There are people who own the vending machines that are in the businesses. So someone needs to contact me. They need to upfront all the money and start a business that manages these charging stations, and then we can approach the McDonald's and the Burger Kings and the whatevers, and add it to their properties.
Well, now I will say there are a couple of companies that are doing. There's a couple combo Chatamo and SAE combo fast charging stations right now. But back to the question of, does GM have any responsibility to do this? I think if they're serious about selling cars, you sell cars by providing the infrastructure to make range the last thing on people's minds.
Right, to counter the objections.
Yeah.
And I agree with that. And if they are worried about a long-term commitment, they need to realize it's not a long-term commitment, in the same way that there used to be gas stations that were owned by the manufacturers, and they were doing the exact same thing with gas. They realized that people needed places to gas up their conventional cars. But then sooner or later, Texaco realized, oh, if we had Texaco gas stations, then we could take this over, and BP and and the other places. So then the manufacturers didn't have to manage them anymore. So I agree that they need to reduce that. Yes. No. I'm simply this.
You're making a fine
But
point.
on the other hand,
From an infrastructure long-term perspective, I do agree the manufacturers need to kickstart the infrastructure, but then I strongly believe that capitalism will take over.
Yeah.
Or the
But-
government
but-
has an
but-
interest.
But GM's going to say, like, hey, we don't buy gas stations. We don't own gas stations or provide them for regular cars, so why should we provide them for...
That was
But
exactly their argument.
100 years ago they did.
No, but hold on. But I think Paul's almost alluding to a really good point of mine, which would be, if I'm going to buy a Bolt, just because I'm a poor guy, I don't have a ton of money, you know what? I don't want to be subsidizing quick chargers. I'll deal with charging my car. Give me the bottom line price on the vehicle.
It could be just an add-on too, right? Like Tesla does it.
You can have a charging plan, right?
You want a charger plan? It's $2,000. There it is.
Yeah, because still most EV owners are going to charge at home most of the
Right.
time.
Yeah.
Right. And I mean, again, on a charging plan, an upsell? What dealer doesn't love an upsell? Please. That dealer hasn't been born yet.
Yeah.
Well, and what BMW has done, and I've learned all this just because I've had a car for 2 weeks.
Mr. BMW, go ahead, talk.
Me and my fellow BMW owners.
Yeah. It's the ultimate driving machine.
That's right.
It's,
Yeah, it's not a car, it's a driving machine.
Mm-hmm.
BMW is actually, they might be dropping some money into the infrastructure costs, but they're also partnering with, I think, ChargePoint, so that any quick charger in ChargePoint's network is free for, I think, the first 2 years of ownership of your car. But after that, quick chargers get kind of expensive. It's like
Really?
I want to say it's most of them are like $4.75 for the first 20 or 30 minutes, and then it's like $2 a minute after that.
It sounds like a psychic hotline.
Yeah, but I know most Nissan ones are free at Nissan dealers, right?
Yeah, they do have CHAdeMO connections at pretty much all the Nissan dealers.
Right. You just have to convince the Nissan dealer to let you use it.
Yeah, or let them
Or get a
use
CHAdeMO to
this.
SAE converter and drive your Bolt up to the Nissan dealer. I know they'll love that.
That's one thing they need to come out with is those converters for all this crap because it's getting ridiculous.
Nissan dealers don't even like Leaf owners, much less Bolt owners. Okay.
Yeah. All right, so sorry to derail us, Mark. What was after?
I think this is a good combo.
Oh, didn't I see a Buick that got announced that kind of looks like a Tesla Model S?
Dia Vista, yes.
Yeah.
God.
Yeah. It was.
But it's a gas car.
A big
It's a-
car. Yeah.
It's a gas car, and it looks surprisingly Model S-like. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's it apparently had a really funky paint job that was cool, but I guess now we've come to the point where the people who can't make good alt cars are going to design their gas cars to look like alt cars.
Take a page from the Chinese.
Or Samsung, I guess.
Yeah.
Funny that you say that. Buick sold 1.2 million cars last year.
That's not the Avista.
That's not. That's a Nissan.
Oh, okay.
Buick sold 1.2 million cars last year.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know how many they sold in the U.S.?
The
200,000.
.2? Yeah.
200,000. Yeah.
Yeah.
1 million in China.
Rest in China, yeah.
in China.
Yeah.
Not a surprise, right? I mean, that's where the brand has some value there. I don't
Apparently
think here.
it stems from, in the old days, like the president of China or whatever rode around in a Buick, and it's in every school kid's textbook. And so, like, if you're a big dude, you drive a Buick. That's Chinese impression, at least. That's what I heard.
Oh.
Hmm.
But otherwise, Buick didn't have anything to show that would interest us, right?
No, I had no interest in
No. Did anyone?
gas cars.
Here is I have for us the.
Yeah.
Here's
Although I
the-
do want to mention, everybody made a big deal about the Lincoln Continental. I'm sorry, that is the ugliest vehicle I can recall seeing.
Yeah. Oh, what the Continental or the Avista?
The Continental. Oh, that's the
Okay.
Avista. Yeah.
This is the Avista, and just look at the door handles and the back, and tell me that's not a Model S. I mean,
Yeah. It's a
except
Model
for
S
the
coupe.
front. Yeah, that's a Model S. I mean, total ripoff.
It's inspired by the Model S.
Yeah. They took
Ooh,
it,
there
filed
it
the
is.
corners off it, changed
Yeah.
the logo.
What's
Look at the
funny
size
is
of those rear tires. That's massive.
Yeah.
the Buick press conference was at like 10 a.m. or something early, and everyone was like, "Oh, I think Buick has won the best car show or whatever, car of the show," and and then Lexus dropped the LC
LC500.
bomb.
Whoopsie. Although yeah, whatever.
Mark,
I'm
what were
tired
you
of
showing us?
these.
What was that Nissan? Is that you got a scoop for
Yeah.
us on the new Leaf?
Talk.
It's possibly something that could turn into the Leaf. It's the IDS.
Oh, okay.
And Nissan, of course, hasn't said anything about their new Leaf, except that they're saying nothing about it. But this is something that screams to me, anyways, of a direction it could head. Like, I don't know why they're bringing this to the auto show. It's at multiple different shows. It's kind of tucked in, to the side of the present Leaf. And I think if you maybe took out some of the spacey toys on the inside, it could be a Leaf.
Isn't this supposed to be a fuel cell car?
It is electric drive, and yeah, it's not a plug-in. So I would assume
Right.
it's supposed to be.
I think that's what they're talking about it. I mean, again, it's a concept, so it's it's whatever they decide to make it. But
Like this has that crazy fold-in dash for autonomous driving. So as you have the ability to switch from driver mode to autonomous mode, and the dash and the steering wheel fold away and are replaced by a large touchscreen viewing area for the driver. So
Woohoo!
it's a lot of whiz-bang stuff that goes in it.
Mhm.
I'm watching Avengers 2.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
The big screen comes up, and you can play Forge of Empires.
I gotta say, I like ugly, and I like this design, but it has like all the horrible design elements from the original Honda Insight. You know what I mean? There's some really
Just
ugly
need
aspects.
some wheel covers there.
It's
Yeah.
just too, it really is over the top for me. It's too much of everything.
I
I
kind of
see
like
some
the
Leaf
design.
though, especially with that tail end.
I gotta see some other pictures of
Let's
this.
see if I get a shot of the front of it, a head-on shot here.
Yeah, and man, and these big scoops on each side of the car. This I can't wait
Yeah.
for this trend to go away. It's sort of like the whale shark thing. I'm over that.
Oh,
Oh, I like the suicide doors though.
Trying
That's
too
cool and
hard,
impractical.
in my opinion.
Yeah, so it's an interesting looking vehicle. It's
Yeah.
and you can see it's got from this shot the window's pretty high and goes up almost to your top of your head, kind of like that panoramic view is going on with the car. So
You know,
I don't know.
interesting.
what's most interesting about this is the design language really is not that different from Nissan's current production design language.
No.
With the new Maxima, it's got a little juke to it in the tail end there.
That's too bad.
It could be a Mirai. I mean, I know it's a
Yeah.
different company, but I'm just saying, like, I'm feeling a little bit of that vibe.
I don't know. It's interesting. I wouldn't mind it if I'm drinking, but I don't want to wake
So-
up next to it.
But I guess, Mark, do you have any idea? Did you get any insight as to like this is the IDS concept, and is the whole concept high tech, or is there something else behind this? What's the reason for it?
I think it is the autonomous flavor because of the fold-in
Okay.
dash.
The
I think
dash.
that's probably what they were after with it.
And what does IDS mean? I don't steer?
That's it. We're done.
That's it. Thank you. Good night.
All wins.
You should work in marketing. I tell
I
you.
can't do any better. I
Oh,
like
fantastic.
the steering wheel. Thunderbirds are go! So,
And speaking of the other company, I thought I'd throw this up, and I know I'm going to get some interesting comments on
Good
this
verb.
tonight. Here we go. Look at this baby.
Oh my lord!
as though they couldn't embarrass themselves anymore.
Looks like
I
that
was
bonfire
shocked.
turned into a boat.
I tell you, I was shocked. I didn't know what to say after seeing this.
Isn't my baby the
And is,
cutest
and is
in the world?
FCV like fuck who?
That's French, yeah.
Yeah.
Fuck
This
you,
is the Toyota We Don't Care Anymore.
yeah.
It was an interesting looking thing. Let me tell you, I haven't seen anything any more spacey than out of a Tron flick.
Or
Ready for
Jetson?
land and sea.
Am I the only one?
Toyota got an engineering group in Colorado now, and they're just getting high, or
And this, of course, is a hybrid model. I'm sorry,
What?
hydrogen model.
Hydrogen, yeah.
Right,
the
it's a fuel
scoops
cell.
in the
Yeah,
front are so huge. Yeah.
Yeah, it's okay. So, and this is slightly off topic, but we can discuss the specifics of the Toyota FCV Plus in a moment. But does anyone ever else, like during these auto shows, look at all these concept cars and go, honestly, what would my Malibu cost if Chevy didn't build 36 wacky concept cars?
yeah.
You know, because I think like that. Am I no fun or?
Yeah. I'll tell you, whoever's driving this Toyota thing is celibate.
Exactly. And if they're not now, they will be.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is what parents buy their teenage daughters.
Exactly. And you may have just hit on the market for this car.
Right.
You know what I mean?
It's funny that you say that because I'm looking at this with like the completely clear front end, thinking I feel sorry for the ladies that are wearing dresses in this car.
There's going to be, yeah. You know what? There's a market there for the add-on modesty panel.
Ooh, I like that. Yes.
You know?
That's an upsell.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, so you don't want to show your underwear to every driver coming in the opposite direction?
That's another $1,500.
Right. It only costs $1,500 for the modesty panel.
Fine.
Ay, ay, ay.
Yeah, so that was interesting. And then for the final presentation that I went to see was from Ford, and they really didn't have anything that was up our alley. It was they did show an electric car that they currently have on screen, but they didn't really get into the details of their $4.5 billion expenditure they're going to do on electric cars. I thought there would be more. They talked a little bit about increasing their autonomous fleet, doubling it or tripling it. They talked about testing autonomous cars in the snow.
Right.
And then their major part of the presentation was this Ford Pass, which is basically a concierge guide, the Ford Guides, Ford Marketplace, which is a mobile solution on a phone, Ford Hubs, which are stores. They are stores that deal in Fords and allow people to come in and talk Ford and build their dream car on screens.
What?
And then Ford Appreciation is a deal that they've got with other businesses where they will gift people using this with like deals from McDonald's or 7-Eleven that are groups that they've teamed up with. So this was Ford's big push.
So it's a Ford credit union, basically.
Yeah, I can hear the pitch in the boardroom right now. Okay, I got it, the $1 million idea. We're gonna combine OnStar and Amazon.
There you go.
Everyone in the boardroom wet their pants.
Yeah.
And what?
Starbucks.
Oh, and Starbucks. Yeah, because
So Ford Pass is that Ford takes a pass at anything new.
I do wonder about Ford. It seemed like, with the Fusion hybrid and the talk, I mean, again, this goes back years, and so maybe I've been holding on to this too long, of a Focus Electric, that maybe Ford was going to and they've just walked away.
Yeah, it wasn't what I was expecting. I thought there would be something about electric cars. But
Yeah.
Russell, you remember plug-in?
Yeah.
2012?
I was just talking to somebody about that yesterday. Mark, in fact, I think.
Ford, they were the touchiest pricks about that Focus, remember?
We made the mistake of opening the trunk. Do you remember? And they were like, no. The trunk doesn't get open.
Yeah.
And there was about that much room in the top of the trunk.
Mm-hmm.
And for some reason, do you remember? The back seat was loaded up with boxes.
Yeah, it was bizarre.
Those were batteries.
Yeah, exactly. It was like, this is a show car at a show, and they're storing literature boxes.
This is where
in
our
the car.
keys go.
those are portable batteries inside of boxes.
Yeah. I mean,
Extended range batteries. Yeah. Yeah.
I think it's fair to call them on their bullshit at this point.
Well,
Yeah.
it's not ironic that Ford and Toyota have become so partnered up recently with some of their initiatives.
There was a hybrid fest, and I'm not calling it Green Drive Expo. It was Hybrid Fest back while it was still Hybrid Fest. It
You're
had to
old.
have been 2009, 2010, and Ford was touting their new all-electric vehicle and their vision of the future, and how they were going to do just all of this and all of this and all of this. And yeah, you know what? I think the Fusion Hybrid is a really good car.
Yeah,
That's
it's a
That's
mid-size, and it's it's-
But that one car alone is not a trend. That's just a data point. And for all the, like you guys said, bullshit that they were touting 6 years ago, I've yet to see their vision of the future even come close to realization.
Yeah, the Focus EV is like a compliance car, right? Like it's.
Yeah, it's just there's.
I
a
think
few.
they made like 30 of them or something. I don't know.
Maybe they sold half of them. I don't know.
Well, and Ford's kind of disappointing, like Toyota. I mean that they seemed like, and Toyota especially, seemed like they were going to be a leader and they were going to do things and an innovator, and then they just kind of went, we've done our part. Now we're going to sell a lot of trucks.
What I find interesting is how cool Lexus cars are compared to Toyota, and like they're the same, corporate entity, but Lexus just kind of does cool stuff.
Okay, tell me how. Tell me what cool things Lexus does. No, and I'm not challenging you, Paul. I want to educate. I don't know.
No, I mean their cars look cool. They have.
Okay, I'll give you that.
They're implementing technology sooner than Toyota. They do have a few stupid things, like their navigation still sucks, but I don't know. They're implementing. I don't know. It just seems like they're a couple years ahead of Toyota. Maybe that's part of the differentiation between the high-end brand.
Right. I don't know. I mean, I agree. I think in general, Lexus has been, interestingly enough, that is the tail wagging the dog. It does seem like Lexus has taken the design lead, and then Toyota says, "Oh, that works. We're going to do it." So you see Corolla and Camry change to look kind of Lexus-y.
Yep.
Well, and that's something I always thought was cool about the Prius, was that the Prius they were kind of in parity with where Lexus was with a lot of their technological stuff, like 04
Smart
Prius,
key.
Smart Key, Bluetooth, navigation, big screen, all that stuff, tape deck. Maybe that was another car.
Cassette deck.
And then third gen Prius came along, and they got the HUD, and there were a couple other little pieces that the third gen got that weren't really on other mainstream cars at the time. And fourth gen, we haven't really seen anything, which was probably the biggest disappointment to me with the fourth gen Prius.
I mean, yeah, you've driven it. I feel like when I actually get a chance to drive that car, I'm gonna be very underwhelmed.
If I understand correctly, the big push was safety things. So
Yes.
there's, the pedestrian awareness and lane keep assist and dynamic cruise control and, all this stuff to keep you from killing yourself. Well, I know, but that's...
Give me 70 miles per gallon.
Yeah, that's the stuff that doesn't excite people.
Yeah, I mean, Volvo tried that. We're the safest car company in the world for a long time, and they were right. But boy,
Yeah. We're the best written encyclopedia on your shelf, let me tell you.
and speaking of underwhelming, the Volvo S90, that's a nice looking Camry. I haven't found Volvo appealing since they left the brick look.
I do like the
when Ford
XC90,
took
the new
over.
one. That's nice.
It looks like every other car. Yeah. In a silhouette, you couldn't differentiate it from a dozen other cars.
All right, now I got to look this up. What is it?
The XC90. Our friend Mark has one. It's a very nice car.
Oh, yeah.
I think Volvo's made a conscious attempt to go from we're the safe company from the Scandinavian nation to we're the luxury company. And we're leaders in luxury.
Well, and that's what I was going to say, is that the XC90 kind of looks to me like it looks as solid
Like every
as
other
like the
SUV.
Porsche, like the Cayenne does.
Okay.
But that's totally subjective, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Good. Reasonable people can disagree.
But aren't they the ones that are going to have a lot of plugins coming soon?
So they say.
Yeah.
We'll see. Well, Volvo's owned by Chinese now, right?
Yeah, Ford sold them. So they might actually happen.
So, Mark, anything else
And
interesting?
the quality is nowhere to go but up when it's
In Detroit?
built by Chinese.
Yeah.
I think that's there was certainly some interesting other stuff, but we probably don't have time. But it was excellent. I would suggest anyone that's within the radius of Detroit to drop by and take it in. It's a great show.
And did you feel safe walking around those neighborhoods?
I had no problem. I had zero problem.
What neighborhood? You're in Cobo Hall. You're not in a neighborhood.
And I almost had the best parking in town, which was right in front of GM, which
Really?
they actually have Volt parking in front of GM.
In front of the Renaissance Center. Wow.
There it is.
For Volt owners only?
Nice.
Volt owners only. Yep, and they have free
That's-
charge for you to get, and
Sweet.
it's available for 4 volts will fit in the 2 spots.
That
So-
is awesome.
So that is like the best parking in town. And if you have a Volt and you're going to see maybe a Red Wings game, feel free to plug in and leave it there
That's
till the
great.
game's over.
Yeah, it's a couple. What is it, like a 2-block walk to Cobo from there?
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, that's not bad.
Well, I give credit to Chevy for doing that with the Volt and not saying Corvette parking only. You know,
You know what? True though. Totally true.
That's cool.
Did you, so Mark, while you were there, did they import the Flint municipal water?
They back pumped it to Detroit.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's flowing down the river in front of GM there.
No doubt.
Stuff floating down there.
Had to go there, didn't you, Tony?
Of course. Of course.
Okay. Well, Mark, thanks again for taking the time out of your life and to go to the show and talk about it. And I'm sure we're going to probably come back and revisit some other things as they come up in the next week or so after the show and go, hey, did you see this? You know, or what did you think of this? That kind of thing. I'm sorry?
Nope.
And I'll say nope.
It is a pretty intense scrum around everything, isn't it?
Yeah, there's a lot of people there, and I was surprised at the number of media that was there. But this is my first time going as a media person, and it was full.
Dude, you went to the busiest one. That's the beautiful thing. Any other show is going to be, oh, no problem.
Yeah.
You know, you go to Chicago, it'll be like Whatever.
Chicago is like me and a bunch of car models. I mean, that's pretty much it.
Tony, if it was you and a bunch of car models, you'd go every year.
I wouldn't see a single car.
And
No,
yeah, we would.
He means model cars, not
Oh, little
You go
cars.
with that.
little
You go
cars.
with that, Mark.
Hot
Yeah.
wheels.
Whatever.
Mr. Cooper, what do you think? Are we going to wrap this up?
Yeah, let's wrap it.
Okay. As always, I want to thank Michael Manring for our theme music. You can find him at manthing.com. You can find me at priusownersgroup.com if you own a Prius. And you don't go to Danny's site, you're an idiot. But if you go to if you own a Prius and you go to Danny's site and you want to hear somebody else who's kind of a snarky smartass talk about Prius news, priusownersgroup.com. Come on by and visit, please, and let me know what you think. Shout-outs, gentlemen. Let's start with Mark.
Oh, okay.
I'll finish with you, Cooper.
Just a shout out to the Waterloo Region Voltec group. We're getting together next week for a Volt meetup, so looking forward to that. And anyone that wants to follow the group, just hook up to our Twitter account listed on the page below me.
WR Voltec,
That's-
WR Voltec on Twitter. Always a good follow.
Hey, that sounds like a really good event. I think I'll come to that. Don't start until I get there. All right?
Oh, man. And I wonder why no one takes Tony seriously.
I was about to say, he's
I
almost
know,
reached
right?
that point where we can't say anything seriously anymore.
He's just pushing. He's pushing the envelope. And speaking of the envelope, Tony, take it.
I do want to remind everybody that if you have not yet liked our Facebook page, go to www.facebook.com/whatdrivesus, all one word, and give us a like. Randy Mays and Lee Moon are always interacting with us, and we really appreciate that. Some new names have popped up. Mitch Woolrich, I want to give a shout out, and Chris K. I want to say, hey, thanks for stopping by, and keep the conversation going. I also want to remind everyone about whatdrives.us, where you can find all of our podcasts, and I am currently working on a series of blog posts on hypermiling that is soon going to hit the page. So keep your eyes out for that. I'm just now finishing them up, wrapping them up, and they're going to hit about once a week. And I'm kind of looking forward to putting them out there and then getting everyone's feedback.
Cool.
Nice. I'm looking forward to that, too.
Yeah.
And I'm looking forward to hearing Paul Guzik's shout-outs.
Okay. First shout out is to the state of Colorado, where the plug-in tax credits are still in effect this year. So if you buy a new or used plug-in vehicle, you get a nice state rebate. And it's based on the size of the battery. So if you buy a car with a 24 kilowatt battery, you get 24% back from the state, up to a maximum of $6,000.
Oh,
And that's even in effect for used electric vehicles, as long as they've never been registered in the state of Colorado.
I
So now
love
there are
that
two
used option. That's great.
So now there are two reasons you can move to Colorado.
Mm-hmm.
at least.
Yeah.
What's the other one? Oh, yeah.
And
yeah.
then, of course, I'm going to plug my business, Boulder Hybrids, which is www.boulderhc.com, where we service and repair hybrids and electric vehicles. So if you're anywhere within a reasonable drive, come and see us.
Without
That
a
was
doubt.
reason number one. That's reason number one.
Exactly.
This is reason number
Living
two.
in Colorado and having Paul take care of your car, that is reason number one.
That's right. So there's
Exactly.
3 reasons to move to Colorado now.
Yeah. Well, Mr.
Yes,
Cooper,
Mr. Frost,
I think you should take over.
first things first. My 15-0 Gamecocks are playing Alabama right now, and we're currently down by 18. I might need to
Yikes.
take that
Oh.
shot. Sorry.
So that's 15 and what?
Yeah, about to be 15-1 in the
Oh,
Russell Gallagher game.
Oh.
Just a quick shout out for me. I'm very happy to announce a couple new properties under the, sister sites to Prius Chat. Just today, I can finally say I'm ready to launch IonicChat.com for the new Hyundai Ioniq.
The Prius killer. Oh,
The Prius killer. We'll see. I'm basically just hedging my bets in case it really is a Prius killer.
The Prius chat killer.
And decided to start up a Volt site. So we got Volt.chat. So Volt Chat.
Oh dear.
So that one's pretty much ready to launch. So keep an eye on that stuff, and hopefully we'll build a nice community. That's the idea is to build a community that is fostered by enthusiasts instead of the other communities that currently exist that are basically big corporations that have bought enthusiast-run sites and are now just running them as money-making opportunities. So check out Volt.chat and IonicChat.com along with PriusChat.com. You can also check out the Prius Chat shop to get all your Prius accessories. We've got all the 2016 accessories up. Not available for order yet because we don't have final pricing from our vendors, but we'll have a bunch of accessories ready to go very soon.
And it's the best place for your 2015 Prius accessories.
Yes, and 2014 and all the way back to 2004.
Oh, second gen, baby.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Well,
What about the 4 Gen 1s?
The what?
I've got some stuff,
the 4 Gen
not a
ones.
lot.
Are those,
Yeah.
are those still around?
they are,
I've got,
but yeah,
I've got like 6 of them.
you're a collector.
Yes. At that point, yeah.
You're a collector, sir. If those were cats, you'd have a problem.
Yes, I'd be a cat.
You have a problem.
Okay, that's all I'm saying. Don't forget, if you own a Prius, go to priuschat.com/shop for all your Prius accessory needs. Don't forget, you can visit us at facebook.com/whatdrivesus. It's where we post some of our news. Patrick Connor posts a bunch of great news there, and there's some discussion, and we pull some news items. So don't forget to visit us there and like the page. Would you just like the page? That's facebook.com/whatdrivesus. Of course, you can download the show, preview it there in audio or video format from whatdrives.us. That's our main site that we are working on revamping, but right now all the shows are there. All the links are there. You can get everything you need. And tomorrow, you'll get to see Mark Coughlan's video from the Detroit Auto Show at that very same site. That's all I got.
Cool.
That's all I got. I don't have anything else. Thank you guys, all of you, for showing up this week. Thanks again, Mark, for going to Detroit. That's probably a bigger favor than most things I could ask of any of my friends. Would you go to Detroit for me?
in January.
Yeah, I'd be like,
January,
are you
exactly.
insane? So,
Just a little.
yeah. But there's Volt parking there, so it's okay.
There you go. There you go.
You've got a friend in Detroit, Mark.
That's right.
And that's why we sent you. So otherwise, download us next week and find out what drives us. Was that 2 of us?
Yeah.
Oh,
Stereo.
that's beautiful. Well, here's our exit theme, folks. Thanks, and we'll see you next week.